You stay here. You're still too small. Give me the book. Have complete trust in your teacher. Learn from many different teachers. Learn more than I have done. This is my blessing for you.
The geisha was born here in this valley, and when he himself was a young Bande of 14, he went to Lhasa, the capital of Tibet and the seat of the Dalai Lama's government. At that time, Tibet was still free and a center of Buddhism. He lived and studied in one of the large monasteries there. 16 years ago, when he was 48, the geisha returned to the valley and has remained here ever since. He needs the isolation in order to be completely undisturbed in his meditations. From October to May, when the temperatures go down to 40 degrees below zero, he never leaves his mountain retreat or covers his arms. Here, he carried out the Losum Chosum meditation, which lasts for 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days. During this time, no one spoke to him or even saw him close up. This severe asceticism is necessary in order to destroy the ego, because our consciousness identifies with the needs of the body, and it is the ego which is behind these bodily needs. It traps consciousness in a fixation on one's own isolated individuality. Asceticism, however, makes it possible for consciousness to free itself from these material chains and thereby liberate the ego, just as in death. This mountain spring seems almost like a gift of God. The few drops it provides are enough for his needs and also make it possible for a few bushes to grow on the slope. They in turn provide the fuel for preparing the tsampa, or cooked grain, which the geisha eats each day. One of the Lama's customs is to give hungry spirits a small part of the food they eat. It is mixed with elderberry powder and then burned, so that the aroma will attract the spirits. The geisha eats only once a day. His basic daily food is tsampa, and today he's varying it with a chili sauce. In winter, he eats it with dried apricots.
The
geshe had to flee from Tibet just like the Dalai Lama. He even had to leave his teacup behind. All he had with him on his journey of 1,200 miles was some tsampa. When he'd mixed his last tsampa with water in the hollow of a stone, he fell into a deep sleep. He lacked the strength to go on and was certain he would die. But the next morning he discovered that he had already crossed over the border to Ladakh. The first people he met gave him something to eat and drink, and that was how he returned home. Praise be to the Karma that saved him for us.
I'm responsible for the entire village here, the animals, the plants and the people. I pray for the peace and health of all living creatures. I pray for enough water and good harvests. I've been praying for these things for many years now, so we haven't had any problems. The people respect me and want me to stay here forever. They bring me tsampa and other food without my having to ask them. Since these things are given out of religious belief, I accept them. I take what I need for myself and sell the rest in order to support other monasteries and build stupas. I live a purely religious life, eating no meat, no onions and no garlic. I have taken the path of the Buddha.
He says it wouldn't be difficult for him to perform magic, but that as a religious man, he would never do it. If he wanted to, he could fly from his cell over to the monastery, but that would be a misuse of his powers.
Before the geisha came, unsuccessful attempts were made to build a monastery, but demons always made the walls collapse and the workers fall ill.
From my cell, I looked over again and again to where the monastery was to be, and then one day I felt I had the energy to build it. I slept here on this spot and heard some very strange noises. I thought to myself, those must be the demons, but I wasn't afraid. The Dalai Lama also asked me whether I'd seen them, but they never revealed themselves to me, and so I was able to build the monastery without any problems. Since then, there haven't been any demons here. Now I live here in the summer and up in my cell in the winter.
In Ladakh, the head of a mountain goat surrounded by an unbroken woven design protects the house from evil spirits. The mountain goat was considered an important protective power even in pre-Buddhist times. When hung up inside the house, it helps to ensure peace in the family. And the prayer flags one sees fluttering everywhere also bring peace. The wind carries their message and spreads it over the entire country.
I only return home for 4 to 6 weeks every year. Together we have 5 children with our wife. 3 are from me and 2 from him. Why don't you say something too?
True, he comes home when he's on holiday, but I'm always here and do the work all alone. That's pretty hard sometimes. Of course, I'm happy that he brings us rice, clothes and kerosene. In return, I send him tsampa, milk and things from the village. He earns money and I work. That's how we take care of our family.
You say something too now.
Tell them that you have 5 children and that you sew and cook for them.
When one of them puts his shoes outside their wife's door, the other isn't allowed to disturb them. Do you have priority with your wife when you're home on holiday?
No, then neither of us shares her room.
Do you envy Stopkas because he can be with her the whole year?
No, I'm happy that he's here. That way, I don't have to worry about her.
The geisha has just put the oracle of Temesgam into a trance. A great North Tibetan Lama who lived 150 years ago speaks through him. Without ever having learned this old Tibetan dialect, he can speak it when in a trance. The Stragas, Stopgas and others have come to ask him questions.
Why has my mother been suffering for 2 years?
Because houses were built nearby without consulting lamas or astrologers.
When the monks had to flee from Tibet, the souls of the dead also fled. One of these souls is speaking through this oracle. What he says is the truth.
Since the geshe built the monastery, things have gone well for you. You should be grateful to him.
Speak slowly, step by step. What do you think of the people making this film?
I think they don't believe in our religion. But if they show us respect, the results will be good. The foreigners only want to observe our religion without understanding it. They laugh at us. They come here as tourists without any belief or trust. They're against us.
Give him some black tea and he'll answer a few more questions.
You have to follow what the Dalai Lama says. You should be grateful that you have him.
Why am I always fighting with my brother?
You bastard! You're the one who always starts it with your bossiness and impatience.
The oracle has come out of his trance. For the first time, he hears his own voice speaking in a trance.
What he said to me wasn't true.
I bet there's something to it.
Why did you call him a bastard?
I have no idea. When I've been in a trance, I don't know anything, I don't feel myself. Afterwards I'm tired for 2 or 3 days, that's all.
A new threshing floor is made each year, so that not a single square inch of arable land is wasted. When things aren't as harmonious as they should be in the Rigupa family, then the grandfather has the task of mediating and making peace. In Ladakh, mediating between two parties and bringing them together again enjoys enormous prestige and great respect. This may well be the reason for the remarkably loving way that people treat each other, as well as the absence of any kind of crime. No one in Temesgam has ever heard of a murder. Because of the extreme dryness, the threshing floor is already hard and smooth after only 3 days. The animals tread the grain out of the chaff and reduce the straw to small pieces. The wind carries the chaff away and the grain falls to the ground. In the summer, there are a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables in addition to tsampa, but no meat is eaten. Ladakhis slaughter animals only in the winter, when they need more resistance to the cold. This is also the only time when meat can be kept fresh, and when fodder is scarce. Apricots are dried for the winter. Together with the cooked barley, they are all that's needed for a healthy diet. Wanchuk has now decided to ask the geisha for help. Like many Ladakhis, he has heard of a mantric formula known as the mokading, which supposedly provides a technique for seducing women without their becoming aware of the manipulation.
Why have you come?
I wanted to ask you something.
What is it?
It's something very urgent.
If it's something proper, then I can give it to you.
It's a book, a mantra.
Ah, what sort of a book?
It's supposed to help me.
Are you sick?
No, I'm fine. Please.
I'd better make a divination. Then we'll know what's the matter with you.
I need the Mokading book.
That I can't give you. That would be a serious mistake.
I wouldn't tell a soul.
It would still be a mistake, and I would get caught in the wheel of life. I would be happy to give you the teachings of Buddha.
Please, just lend it to me for one day. Please.
It would nevertheless be a sacrilege. With me, such a thing is out of the question. Now leave me in peace.
In Ladakh, there is little time for the harvest because the first frosts come early in October. On the other hand, above 15,000 feet, anything that can be irrigated grows much faster than at lower elevations. Since there are natural limits to the capacity of this irrigation system, the people here can only have enough to eat if the population remains constant. For thousands of years, Ladakh has achieved this balance through the monasteries and through fraternal polyandry. But for this social system to function, it requires a complex moral code which motivates people in all their actions. Without Buddhism, Ladakh's way of life could never have survived for thousands of years. The continuing presence of the geisha has therefore an important function. His example motivates them to fight daily against the three poisons: greed, ignorance, and hatred. But is the reverence they feel for him based solely on his religious authority, or does he also have magical and mystical powers? Could the geisha make it rain?
Yes, he could, but he only does it if it's absolutely necessary. He never uses his powers for black magic. He heals the sick through his blessing and through mantras. He has roads built to isolated monasteries, sees to it that they are kept up, and builds stupas all over the country.
The geisha is a good man, just like an amchi or nature healer. He heals sick people.
The mayor said,
He is the head of the village. He prays for us and gives us a religious spirit. It's very difficult to find someone like him.
He's nice, very nice.
The geshe is as impulsive as a child. Sometimes he's very quick-tempered, but if you ask him for something in a friendly way, you get it immediately. He's very important for our village.
We believe in him and trust him. We want him to stay here forever.